Siberia. Sibiri. Siberia. Qu'est-ce que tu fais? Ou qu'est-ce que tu fais? Moi, je voudrais aller à la maison. Euh, J'aime Paris. Paris, 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 Pariga, Riga, Ga. Ah. Ok, bonsoir, monsieur.
Bonsoir, ciao, ciao.
What are you drinking? What are you having?
Actually, I'm having some cranberry juice and Udens Gazettes and sparkling water, but I have a beer behind for after, yeah, for during the interview.
I haven't drank too much these days, apart from that night that we saw each other, which is, but so we both live in Riga. I met you, I think, all in all, I think it was 2 months ago, the first time that we met, or maybe a
More
month,
than that, more
3
than that.
months ago.
It was
Yeah.
really the beginning of the summer. I remember we have huge coats. It was maybe even the spring at the time, something like April or May, maybe.
Wow, I'm
Yeah.
totally. It's always like that. I come up with an idea when, and so spring, end of spring, summer. I think it was Avoto Yela. We got some friends in common, and we started with our conversation. I think we were outside one Nurme, maybe in Avoto Yela.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
we should continue with this. And we saw each other the other night, but we didn't we got the chance to talk. But I said, let's take it easy on the podcast a bit. And let me give the possibility to who listens to the podcast to know a bit about you, because you have an original background, because you were born in
Not in deep Siberia, but in Siberia. I was born in the suburbs of a large city of Russia. I was born in the suburbs of Novosibirsk, and
Novosibirsk.
precisely in the small city of Akademgorodok, the
Academy
little city of academician, if you translate it
Yeah.
literally. It's cold during 9 months, then it's hot during 3 months, and that's the life I remember. And it was kind of like suburbs of a big city. So there is so there is buildings, roads, etc. Of course, it wasn't countryside at all. But also, if you are living the small city, you can be really fast in deep forests, like a deep Siberian forest, etc. And I think my time at the time, because it was between my birth and 8 years old, it was between this small city and between the dacha of my babushka, of my grandmother. So I was kind of not a child of nature at all, but more in nature than now, for sure. I wasn't moving to the place of my grandmother, but I used to live with my mom, grandmom, and even at the end of my years in Russia, even with my great grandmother. So I had
Wow.
three women at my place, kind of raised by women. And so I was moving with my grandmother to that places, or with my mother, but not to her place directly, if you want.
I had a different background, but what I've heard around is that men that get raised by women, they grow up stronger sometimes.
Yeah. For me, it was for me it was a perfect education. I can't complain at all of being raised by women without men. It was totally fine. I don't know if it was better, knowing the reputation and the caricature of some Russian dads, some Eastern guys' dads. But I guess if that person who kind of helped my mom to give me birth moved when she was pregnant, it wasn't a good person for me, and neither for my family. So for me, it's absolutely no loss at all.
I see. That means that after 8 years, you decide to move where?
My aunt, the how do you say, the twin sister of my mom, were in France since late 90s, something like that, maybe even middle of 90s, because she moved there for studies. And actually, a fun fact, it's that in that small city suburbs of Academ Gorodok, it was a school where all my mom, aunt, friends of family were, and it was teaching some French language. And so basically at one point, maybe the half of the class or the 75% of the class were in France at one moment between between late 90s and the 2000s. I mean, not organized by school or something. It's just that people took the opportunity to move in France, etc. And so my aunt were there. Some friends of the group of my mom and aunt, etc., were there also. And my mom began to visit. She of course appreciates the place, you know, like a lot of people. Not everybody, but like a lot of people. And finally, it ended that my aunt were married to a guy with Russian origins. Actually, were the best balalaika musician in France, Nikolai Kedorov, considered like a master of balalaika. And this guy at that time was the best friend of my future stepfather.
I see.
Who my mom met so through my aunt and this guy musician. And basically my mom got the possibility to move to France with me. Of course, I'm a lone child, so it was maybe more easy to move just with me, you know. And basically it was more than 20 years ago, and and everything is still kind of the same because my mom and my stepdad are still together. As I was saying before, like let's go in the family how do you say questions. Like as I never had a dad before that, this French guy, Jean-Marie, good French name, became became a dad for me. You know, like it's when I speak about him to random people today, if I speak about him on the third person, I say, yeah, it's my dad, you know, and after I have to precise, yeah, it's actually my stepdad, blah, 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 blah. But actually, it's still cool. My parents are still together, like an old couple, so nothing fancy or romantic or something, but they are still together, and that don't working so bad, and I'm in good relation with both, so it was cool.
How long did you spend in Paris before you moved back, before you moved to Riga?
Precisely 19 years and something.
So most of the friends are there because when we're up to 8, it's not that we
All
are.
my exactly. So yeah, basically the late of my youth, my teenage years, my beginning of discovering life around 16, 17, 18, and also the beginning of my kind of adult life. I think by my age, I'm already sadly maybe in at 28 years old. So yeah, a few years ago, I was already in that beginning of adult life, responsibilities.
The good memories that you have of Paris.
For the moment, I absolutely don't feel nostalgic, but that's because I wanted to move from Paris, and it was just a year and a couple months ago to go back. When I feel nostalgic about friends, about family, about fun places. But first, I've had it obviously too long after like 10 days or 2 weeks, and I really like was damn, I want to go back in Riga. I just arrived randomly and randomly enjoyed it.
Randomly, tell me about randomly. How does it?
Randomly. I am working since more than 7 years in school as an animator, child during periscolar, extrascolar times, etc. In France, I was pretty normally installed in my job. I was working as a how do you say it? Functionary state worker, I think we say it like that.
Social worker, something like that.
Social working. So not a bad situation. I mean, the salary wasn't good, but it was plenty of advantages. I wasn't working a lot, and honestly, between us, I am not a fan of working a lot. If I can work,
me neither.
12 hours, we can get enough money to live.
I agree
You
with you.
understand me, so yeah. And the situation at that point were not bad at all, but it was beginning to be too much of routine about work. even it was some evolution possibilities, etc. But it was beginning to be really what's the adjective for routine? The same,
Monotonous, yeah.
monotonous, exactly. And that was maybe the half of the problem, because the other half was the monotonous of life out of work, of course. And as I told you, I was when I miss Paris or France, I miss my friends
Hmm.
and my family. But even with my friends, my best friends are still in Paris or in France. We were doing all the time the same thing. It was amazing. I love to see them. I love to meet them. But it was always like, Friday night. Okay, we're calling each other at 6. Hey, let's meet here. Okay, davai. And then having almost the same weekends every time. It was amazingly good weekends. But at that point, I wanted maybe a radical change, and go back to how I randomly ended here in Riga. I think not in it was in 2020, I think, during August month. I just saw I was scrolling my Facebook probably on a hangover Sunday, doing nothing, and something popped on my screen like, hey, the French School of Riga is recruiting some animators. I was,
On a
it
hangover.
exists because during hangover,
That's dangerous. Yeah.
actually has the dangerous decisions. But actually, I was thinking since a couple of years about, okay, now I'm a state worker. I'm working in education. There is a lot of French school around the world. How can it work? Maybe I can still have my state contract and maybe enjoy to travel around and work and discover, but I never go deeper into that interrogations.
Hmm.
But that thing popped randomly in front of me, and I just sent an email asking some question about the work, about how it happens, etc. And the people answered me really fast with complete information. But I was already, how do you say, I already signed for a new year in France, a new scholar year. It was
Yeah,
in
yeah.
August, and I was beginning in September. So I kind of forget it. And then a few months after, I think in May, I was uh, I was in that monotonous life again, again, and again. Maybe it was some post-COVID effects, some personal stuff in the mind, and I just
Hmm.
decided to postulate, to candidate
Hmm.
to the work, and it happened really fast. In 1 week, I think I had the interview. A few days after, I had the positive answer, and just after, basically, were taking my ticket, to Riga in a one-way plane ticket.
Yeah, the one that we all bought, a bunch of people that we bought that ticket.
Hmm.
And I I don't know, I was trying to draw some parallels with your situation, and as much like to force some parallels into it. And I remember, I don't know if I told you about this, but of course there was personal stuff, of course there was routine when I left London to move to Riga 4 years ago.
Hmm.
One little margin was also represented by the fact that all these things that we talked about, maybe monotony and personal stuff, and also in the metropolis, they seem to become even more dangerous. If there is a bit of sadness, every place looks awful when you're not happy inside. But there is something about the chaos of a metropolis, like Paris or London, that if you're not happy, it feels that almost like a acoustic box. In London, after 8 years, I started hating them so much, that place, and just because of it, it was pretty much a prosthetic of how unhappy I was already for my reasons. You see what I'm saying? But seeing like life never stopping and outside or whatever was the most attractive thing at the beginning. But after my mind changed, it was really awful to keep staying there. You had a whole bunch of reasons to leave, but Paris was becoming also unattractive.
Myself, I like to say, like in a funny way, of course, like, no, I'm Parisian before French. I'm not French. I'm Parisian.
Very
I'm
good.
joking about that. because I so love that city, but I have that point of view about Paris, who is particular to myself. You know, I don't like every neighborhood of Paris at all. I like the small place when I'm hanging out with friends. You know, and basically that's absolutely not the most popular places in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
It's the south of Paris in a calm, how do you say, neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
But I spent 20 years here and I grew up, so I find things to do with my friends. I don't want when I'm in Paris, I don't go to like République, Bastille, Pigalle, things like
Belleville.
that. That's all that place is full of people and full of beautiful things to do, cultural stuff, party stuff, just people, etc. I feel more good in my south of Paris, in my 15th, 15e
Arrondissement.
arrondissement, 15th district, but basically the neighborhoods around are more looks like more mine, you know. So I will go behind my place also, and that's the Paris I love and I represent. I will love forever, you know. But there is some places in Paris who are too, how do you say, too it's moving maybe too much for me, you know, and some other places were too rich for me, and
Mm-hmm.
some other places too poor for me, and I was in kind of good mixed city neighborhood, because basically 15th arrondissement is kind of rich, but there
Mm-hmm.
is one or two or three places who have that mixed city of poor people, rich people, uh, not gentrification, but it was always like that. It wasn't poor and just become for rich
Mm-hmm.
vegetarian. It was always like that. I think it's that areas, and I really appreciate that because I was always all that 20 years in Paris in that kind of atmosphere, and it was cool for me. I
I think
appreciate that.
I understand, and also I shouldn't forget that you spent the important years over there, whereas I moved to London when I was 25, and I left when I was 30, 34. For you, Paris was home as well,
Hmm.
with some some memories that you have of Siberia.
Totally,
For,
totally.
for me, London was never home in the better moments and the worst moments. So yeah, so the comparison was a bit weird. You arrive in Riga after scrolling down on your phone on a hangover
Exactly.
morning. You moved in a pretty fast, maybe. You just took a plane, and the city. Let's talk about Riga a bit because I think we're both fan of this city. I am. You are as well.
I am too. I am too.
Yeah,
We are.
I love the fact that it, even if it's big, but it's quiet. I love the fact that it's quiet.
It's totally quiet. It's totally quiet, and it's more quiet than we both lived, like London and Paris, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. I was speaking about my neighborhood in Paris, which is considered as a really calm, family for old people neighborhood. The main street of the neighborhood are still more busy than Brivibas or Matissa or Avotu or Terbetas or Barona, you know. And actually, I prefer here. I just randomly discover at 20, 27 years that maybe I prefer more quiet city, you know. And actually, Riga fits perfectly to me on that side of being calm, being kind of concentrated, because
Mhm.
I think we are both living in the center.
I mean, I'm not too far from Avoto Yela. You probably as well, not too far from it.
Yeah, yeah, we're just behind. So basically, you can go by foot to like the Miera rayon. You can go by foot to Old Riga, to Origo, to
Everywhere.
Gryzincans. You can
Freezing counts.
go how do you
Beautiful.
say cross the river. Yeah, 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 yeah. I kind of discovered all that Gryzincans place in the summer, and it was really cool memories
Man.
all around. And you know, deeper after. Um, Not so deeper because it's basically 15 minutes from my place, but I was discovering too late. But when you go straight to Matissa and you arrive to that old cemetery, the
Yeah.
train,
Ivana
the train,
Kapi, maybe. Yeah.
some maybe.
And then you arrive at the penitentiary as well by
Yeah,
the
yeah,
railroad. Yeah.
exactly. My flatmate just told me a few days ago, like, man, if you are caught with some drugs, you will go like 10 minutes from home. It's okay. So
Yeah. I made the decision to move to Riga after London, and I felt blessed because the moment that I started working, I felt lucky because, of course, you need to pay the bills. There are so many people sometimes around the world that they make these decisions of moving away in a quieter place when they retire. I felt lucky that I made this decision in my 30s, and it makes me feel like I'm early. I mean, I'm early in life, even if I'm older than you. You see what I'm saying? I feel like maybe some other people would have done this later. I know a lot
you
of
feel
people that work.
like a visionary man, maybe, no?
Well, I was lucky because when I moved, I didn't know I was gonna teach and stuff like that. So it was a bit of a risk. But and the vision, I didn't believe in it too much. I was really scared at the beginning. But after I realized that it went well, and you never know in the future, but at the moment it's going well. I mean, I feel that I'm lucky that I could do this not in my 60s or not in my 70s. You hear about people working all
Hmm.
their life and moving to Spain in their 70s or whatever. I know some people in England
Got
that they're
you.
working really hard to put the money on the side for a new life afterwards or whatever. Riga gives you the possibility to. It feels like time goes slowly here than the rest of Europe. I don't know, and it feels comfortable. But no, I felt that me and you, there is something in common that we have, that we moved away with one-way ticket kind of early in life. So
Yeah.
instead of to a quieter place.
Basically, I just discovered when I arrived here that I prefer a quieter place, you know. I don't know for you, maybe for you also, but moving for an adventure, for but long-term adventure. I don't speak about 3 months in Thailand and Vietnam, or I mean, traveling like that is of course really cool, etc. But I mean, we moved for living, not for traveling, kind of.
Mhm.
And I think we are like you said, blessed. It's a good word, because we really enjoy what we do now, thanks to that maybe big step of moving from our place. But you did it actually before, because you moved from Italy to London at what moment? And I think moving is an opportunity. It can be only good things happening to you. You just discover new people, new places. You don't like. If you don't like, we are still in Europe. You can take a plane in 2 hours and a half. You are home.
Yeah.
You know, because we are in Europe. If you move to Australia, yes, that's maybe more difficult. But we are still in a connected world where we can move really easily.
Mhm.
And thanks to life, we really enjoyed that move of arriving here, you know. And like, I'm proud of myself about. I'm proud. Not proud is not a good word, but
Maybe it is.
I'm really happy that I did that step
Yeah.
to because 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 my life is actually not bad since I'm here, you know. And not the fact that not bad, but better than my monotonous life in Paris that I had the few past years. Even if I'm more poor here,
Mhm.
more alone sometimes here, but I still, even if I'm fucking work more than in France,
Yeah.
um, I'm totally still more happy
Excited.
about living here, you know. That's
Yeah.
for sure, and excited.
There is this thing of you cannot monetize the what a new place offers you. Maybe you're busier, maybe you are, as you said, at times a bit lonelier, but it's a different quality of loneliness
Yeah,
because maybe when monotony kicks in, it feels at some point enough. So maybe loneliness is actually, and also you got the spirit of adventure. You got a round of people that we have in common. But there is excitement in being still on your own a bit in this and building your life in it. You know, there is excitement
hmm,
in the beginning of just being in Riga and feeling like you step out of the house and it's still a new place.
it's still a lot of excitement for me. And like, these things of being alone, it's just how do you say, and I never do like it's just not my way to meet new people. I mean, it's happening naturally. I don't go to
Yeah.
that place because I will meet. I don't do like dating apps or some shits, because I really don't. I don't see the point about that. I mean, it's my personal opinion, and some people are totally happy with that. I mean, for love, for one stand night, or for friendship. But I'm not about that. I mean, I think the fact of being by yourself can already be a really good motor and motivation to like just randomly meet people, to being more nice to people, and
Yeah.
people will be more nice to you also. And it, for the moment, as a first experience, as a as a alone child, far away from his family and friends, it's working kind of okay. I mean, the majority of people I'm meeting here are good to me and give me some good life experience, because it's about that. It's about exchanging with people. And for the moment, I have a majority of really good meetings here, and yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. I see that, and I wanted to push back as well on the idea of exciting loneliness. Sometimes loneliness is really no, that's not the right word. I don't want to say loneliness. Being starting over in a new place where you don't have your longtime friends yet, but you have a lot of acquaintances, or like some of the friends that we have in common. We don't know each other for a while, but I consider you a good acquaintance, if not a friend. And
Yeah.
because the moments that we had, we a couple of moments where we always had fun. And but the thing is, there is being in that moment of beginning, and with, far away from the steady relationship, whether the friends or any sort of relationship, there is some sort of adrenalinic factor to it. No, I guess.
Yeah, totally, because that your loneliness, it's still not the good word. I mean, I kind of agree with you. It's like we can find better, but
Yeah,
you just it's maybe it's a stupid comparison, but it's like you're in school and you
yeah,
just met a new friend in the courtyard, and you're like, oh
yeah,
cool, I play with a new friend, da da da. And maybe 1 month after, you're not friend, but you are still knowing each other. Maybe you can compare that to like us living abroad, and like oh yeah, last time I met Fabrizio in that bar, it was 4 months ago. And first time we met again, it was this weekend. And finally, and we were speaking like the last time, and
yeah,
maybe we will meet the next time in a month or something. But I mean,
yeah.
it's kind of cool. And yeah, it's a pleasure, really.
It is almost like going back in that genuine excitement of being in school and meeting new people or whatever. And also, I like the fact that you said probably meet some people once a month or randomly or whatever. But in the meantime, you're still very interested with the place and the city. So you got plenty. I think you got plenty of sources of interest also. You know, sometimes you go out, sometimes you read about the place, sometimes you go for a walk and live in Central. Again, this city, I can't say too much. You take one street, you take Matisa, you take it from the western side of Riga, it becomes posh and established. You go through the middle and it changes slightly until the point when it gets towards the railroad and it becomes quiet and romantic. And this city is like is really in a street. Everything changes in a matter of a walk. So
Yeah,
it's always a fun walk, I would say, to go around. And
it's basically that's my honestly, when I'm traveling, even as a tourist, my favorite activity is not to go to nature, is not to go to the beach, is not to go to the mountain. That's my opinion. Again, I'm a urban tourist. I
me
like to
too.
just walk around randomly, so you
Me
understand
too.
me. So you just walk around. And I mean, in cities, like huge cities like London, Berlin, uh, it can be like maybe a limit sometimes, because you have to find a way to go through and to see na 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 na,
Mhm.
because some places will be not so much interesting. Riga, by the fact the size is kind of small. I mean, even if even with all the how do you say the
Micro district.
rayons, Riga is a big city,
Yeah.
but I mean, what is concentrated between Angelskans and let's say Grizinkans and Sarkandogova, it's still interesting, and you can
Yeah.
see a lot of different things, as you said, really different things. Yesterday I was in a hangover walk to the quiet center. I think it
Ah.
was my second walk to the quiet center since more than a year, because that's not my favorite neighborhood when I'm going there. But it was good for a walk of 30 minutes, 1 hour. It was perfect for a neighborhood with Matissa, Plesa, Chaka, Avotu, etc.
And also, you're so right. I totally share your urban curiosity. I'm more of a. I usually I like to get lost in Agenskans or
Exactly.
Tornakans or those places, but um, I think also by being a city that used to be a metropolis, Riga, in the earlier days or whatever. It's got big shoulders, but it doesn't have. It's also quiet at the same time. So when you go to these places, like you said, Kūla centers that represent the poshest area in Riga,
Mhm,
you still the poshness of it doesn't jump on you. It's not like in Milan or maybe Paris or
mhm.
where or maybe
Yeah.
Milan and Paris, or maybe London where what when you get in a posh area, like you get in Chelsea or you get in that area in Paris,
Mhm.
which is really posh, there are a lot of people, first of all, so it just really gets into you. You're just going to trip over a Louis Vuitton bag. But when you are in
Yeah.
cruise centers, it's still kind of empty, so it's calm. So it's digestible. That's what I'm saying.
It's totally digestible. The only place, like, for me, it's not digestible here can be old Riga sometimes, but I mean, uh, it's very beautiful by architecture, etc. I guess all the cities have that, etc. But I mean,
Yeah,
that's a place where I can feel not at my place. I will not
yeah,
go. I will rarely, really rarely go by night to Vetriga to walk or to have fun. Basically, I go when some French friends are arriving, and I have to show them because it's still really
yeah. You got to
beautiful,
do that.
and it's
Yeah,
on the perfect way. It's on the perfect way to go to the central markets, where I more appreciate than uh, than Vetzliga in that
me
than
too.
in
Yeah,
that area. Sorry, and it's a good walk of presentation, like Thursday walk, something.
I agree. I kind of I see your point with Vetriga. I respect that place because it's almost like something that exists in itself, almost like an airport. Whatever is some
Mhm.
sort of is being very touristic, and the style of the bars as well. I'm not a big fan of the bars that you have over there, but like I don't see myself in it. But I would go there if it's too late and everywhere is closed and somebody wants to drag me there, and I would have fun there. I don't have a problem. It's fine. But I I find it I don't know, like sometimes I find it like it's more interesting to meet new people over there than the way that bars look like. The places don't look like too attractive for me. But I'm not talking for the people, for the just for the way they look, the interior design. That's what it looks a bit anyway.
Basically, I think you as me, we have best plans to go. It's just that, because Riga is full, and I love to go out. Well, I really love to go out because for me it's basically the my first my main social relation with my friends, and basically we have better plans, you as me, than old Riga, and we are happy with that plans.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
thank you very much, Leonie, for joining me. I hope I can show you these recordings in the future to see how your relationship with Riga has changed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to you, Fabrizio, and we will meet, of course, sooner in the next podcast. And thanks again. It was a really cool experience to speak about all that, and thanks to ask me all that question and listen all my answers and like illnesses.
No, no, no. We both feel Merci beaucoup and spasiba.
Merci, пожалуйста, de rien.